Hi everyone, welcome back to SanaA's garden and welcome if you're new here. I hope you all are doing great. This is the part 3 in the Asiatic lily care after blooming series. So in the last video I had left you where I had cleaned my containers and removed all the debris and advised to those of you who do not want to dig the lilies out to layer the container or layer the lilies with mulch or compost. And if you have decided to dig out your lilies and you are here to see how to dig and divide the lilies, thank you for joining me. So yeah, let me start by saying that there is absolutely no way that I'm going to leave these bulbs as it is for the next season in this container, although there is absolutely no harm in leaving them like that. So as you can see, there's a clump of bulbs or bulblets, so many bulblets at a single place where I had planted a single bulb. So last year I was very lazy and I didn't do my task on time, which is in the fall, and this happened. Yeah, that's how bad it gets. So trust me on this when I'm saying it was a hard task to deal with, and with all the teeny tiny delicate bulblets with their little stalks grown so much. Oh my gosh, it was so difficult and such a painstaking experience. I will never do the mistake of letting them grow before I dig and divide them. So if you're watching this video and if you have some Asiatic lily bulbs somewhere in your garden, go right now, grab on your gloves and just dig them out and divide them and plant them, and you'll thank me later. To dig out my lily bulb clumps, I'm using this garden fork to lift the whole clump from the side of the container, leaving at least 6 to 8 inches of gap in between the stalk of the plant or the center of the clump and my digging tool. So you do not want to cut into any of the bulbs and damage them or pierce them. And if you have your Asiatic lily bulbs planted in the ground, it's pretty much the same to dig them out. You can use a digging fork or a shovel, making sure that you leave some space between the whole clump and your digging tool, and gently dig down and lift the whole clump, and then you can separate the individual bulbs. So first I'm going to dig out all the bulb clumps and then later divide them. So that is all the harvest of bulbs from both of my containers. Now let me show a few examples of how the bulb divides. So this is a fairly occasional occurrence, not a very common one. So there's two decent sized bulbs which are just joined together by the tangling of roots. So we got two large bulbs here which will definitely flower the next season. I think I'm trying to show the pointy end and the base, which is the roots side. So what we are seeing here is very common in Asiatic lily bulbs. It is called a split bulb. A single medium sized bulb has divided along the middle to form two separate bulbs of flowering capacity, and you can see that you can see all both the pointy ends, and when you split them along the visible part in the middle and plant them separately, they shall both form two separate plants and flower in the next flowering season. So what happens very commonly in the Asiatic lily plants is the bulb forms a clump in which it produces many bulblets, about 12 to 15 in this example, and sometimes it may produce up to 20 to 22 bulblets as well. And what happened with this particular bulb clump is it produced about 15 bulblets, and it also divided itself into a split bulb. So jackpot there. That's another split bulb there. I've seen a lot of split bulbs in my harvest this time. So you just basically split them along the part and then plant it, and they shall become a new separate plant in the flowering season. It was getting really late in the evening and obviously getting really dark, and I was running out of light, and uh, the video wasn't coming up nicely, so I had to rush inside with all my stuff and all the bulb clumps. I hadn't even started to really separate them, so I just came in, and I think it's much better inside with better lighting and nice and warm to work inside, um, rather than in the cold outside. And actually it started raining as soon as I came in, so plus point there. I quickly got rid of my gloves and started to work with my bare hands because it was much comfortable and easier, because the gloves were slipping away and they were really flimsy and it was really uncomfortable. So yeah, I think this was much easier. What I'm doing here is removing as much as of the excess soil, uh, dirt around the bulbs, and also pinching away um, all the roots, most of the roots from the bulbs, so that it's easier to handle. After I plant them, the bulbs will anyways grow new roots, so nothing to worry about it. Separating or dividing the Asiatic lilies might look very intimidating or might sound like a very difficult task, but it's a very simple task to do. If you want to go the lazy route, you can just spray all the clumps with a garden hose to remove the excess soil or compost or dirt around them, and then divide the bulbs carefully by pulling them and twisting them apart. Most of the times they are just held together only by the tangling of roots, except for the split bulbs, which again is simple to do just by breaking them apart. I didn't choose to hose down my bulbs because I thought it might get really messy, and my compost was so wet from all the rains we have had in the past few weeks. It was just too messy and too cold on my hands, so I instantly regretted after coming inside that, oh, I should have probably hosed down everything. It might have been much easier. So anyways, I might consider doing that next time. I would like to share a few tips from my experience here. Dig out and divide the bulbs on a dry day, and if you have had rains for some days, I would suggest to wait for a couple of days until the soil becomes a little bit dry and manageable. And yeah, when it's wet, it gets a little bit messy, and it's not comfortable to do. And digging out will also allow you to examine all your bulbs closely for any pests, bugs, or any rot in the bulb. I noticed a lot of white bugs, I don't know what they were. Also, some slug and snail eggs in one of my containers, so I discarded all the soils and I removed most of the soil from the bulbs. So it really helps to dig out. So yeah, you should dig out your bulbs and divide them every year. If you're thinking that this is a lot of bulbs that I'm dividing and separating, you're wrong. I also planted two rectangular terracotta plastic planters with some Asiatic lily bulbs, not some, a lot of Asiatic lily bulbs, which were about marble sized and smaller. Some of you who might have seen my previous videos might remember. So most of them produced one or two flowers each on them. I used them as cut flowers, and I think the rest of them just produced some green growth, and that's it. So I separated the bulbs and cleaned out those containers off camera. And are you guys ready to see the harvest this year of my Asiatic lily bulbs? Yeah, that is all my harvest of Asiatic lily bulbs from this year. Can you imagine? I am so chuffed about it. It's really amazing. When I think back about it, that I started only with 9 medium-sized bulbs, actually plants from a garden center, and now I have so many bulbs and bulblets. These smaller sized bulblets are about a marble sized and smaller, and there's no way I could count how many of them I have. And the flowering sized bulbs are ranging somewhere from my palm sized to about, I think, 2 inches or so across. So they're about 100. That's the biggest of the bulbs. It is almost the size of my palm. It's really exciting. Yeah, the flowering sized bulbs start from at least 4 inches in diameter to about, this is about 2 inches in diameter. So that's a pretty good harvest this season. So yeah, this was my video on digging out and separating Asiatic lily bulbs. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and my next one will be planting them. I shall be posting that video very soon, so please keep a lookout for it. I really hope this video inspired you to get something done in your garden today, and also that you got some tips from this video. So keep gardening. Bye.